With the fall festivals in full swing, from Venice to Toronto, this year's Best Picture race is officially underway. While it's too early to predict which films will succeed at the 2026 Oscars, there have been some interesting narratives forming on social media following these major world premieres. Perhaps the most noteworthy film to enter the Best Picture race at this early stage is Chloé Zhao's Hamnet, a historical drama about the life and death of William Shakespeare's son. The film stars Paul Mescal as the literary maestro and Jessie Buckley as his wife, exploring the tragedy and grief that struck their family after losing their young boy. Zhao's films have typically been received very warmly by critics, with movies like Nomadland and The Rider getting very strong reviews, but Hamnet seems to have taken the festival circuit by storm. And judging by the Hamnet trailer, the film certainly seems like the kind of powerful, sentimental drama that the Academy tends to favor. Hamnet is well positioned for the Oscars after Rave Festival debut. Jessie Buckley as Agnes in Hamnet. Zhao's latest feature had its world premiere at the 52nd Telluride Film Festival on August 29, and was quickly met with rapturous praise from almost everybody who saw it. The film currently sits with an 89 on Metacritic and holds a Rotten Tomatoes score of 92%, overtaking several of this year's most acclaimed films. Screen Rant's own Rachel Labonte reviewed Hamnet at the Toronto International Film Festival and wrote, "Zhao has achieved pure magic." Vulture's review agrees, praising Hamnet as the most emotionally shattering movie in years. There's hardly a bad word to be found anywhere about Hamnet, and all the reviews make note of the same recurring truth, that Zhao's film is a deeply moving, profoundly emotional tearjerker. And if there's one thing that can't be denied about the Academy Awards, it's that they love a tearjerker. There are still plenty of highly anticipated movies to come later this year, but it's hard to imagine any of them uniting critics with such ubiquitous fervor as Hamnet. Still, reviews aren't everything. Huge amounts of money are pumped into Oscar campaigns every single year, so Hamnet will need a major push to make its voice heard and leave a lasting impression on Academy voters. Zhao's film will be distributed by Focus Features, who have an impressive track record when it comes to securing Best Picture nominations. Over the past decade, the studio has handled projects such as Conclave, Black KK-Klansman, and Darkest Hour, all of which were nominated for Best Picture and took home at least one award. This bodes well for Hamnet's chances, but it ultimately depends on how effectively the film keeps a hold of its strong momentum throughout the rest of the festival season. Focus Features are also distributing Yorgos Lanthimos' Bugonia and Ronan Day-Lewis' Anemone, so the studio will have to make an important decision about which of these projects is their best shot at Best Picture. History suggests Hamnet can certainly win Best Picture. Paul Mescal looks out as William Shakespeare in Hamnet. While the Academy has done an admirable job of broadening their horizons in recent years and embracing a wide variety of genres into the Best Picture lineup, it remains true that historical dramas typically do very well at the Oscars. Films like 12 Years a Slave, Gladiator, and The King's Speech all took home multiple awards, including Best Picture, and they fit neatly within the same genre. There have been some brilliant movies so far in 2025, but not many projects that innately feel like a Best Picture winner. There's a kind of social and historical significance that's typically expected of the Oscars victor that we've not necessarily seen in any of this year's standout movies. Projects like Sinners, F1, and Weapons have all received enormous amounts of acclaim, but they don't fit neatly into the conceptual box of Best Picture winners from recent years. The Oscars typically shun horror movies in general, and we've seen over the past few years that when a popular blockbuster goes up against a quieter, acclaimed drama, the latter typically wins out. Whether it's Coda beating West Side Story or Anora beating Wicked and Dune, Part 2, it's clear that Academy voters generally don't favor genre blockbusters, and that's bad news for Sinners and Weapons. This moves the needle firmly in Hamnet's favor. Additionally, the movie also benefits from name recognition. Both Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley have been nominated at the Oscars before, while Zhao found huge success in 2020 with her Best Picture-winning drama Nomadland. This will immediately make Hamnet a major talking point among voters. That being said, Hamnet doesn't seem to be the widespread crowd pleaser that those other Best Picture-winning historical dramas were. Early reviews frame it as a much quieter, more densely thematic film that demands a lot of emotional investment from the viewer, and this may count against it in the Oscars race. It truly depends on how general audiences respond to the film upon its wide release in November. Other Best Picture contenders Hamnet must watch out for. Michael B. Jordan aiming his gun at someone in Sinners. Of course, this would be a much easier conversation if Hamnet didn't have such strong competition to face off against. Film festivals like Venice, Toronto, and Telluride have already raised the curtain on several major awards players that also seem well poised for a Best Picture nomination, including Bugonia, J. Kelly, Frankenstein, and The Smashing Machine. Not to mention, There are plenty of movies still to come in 2025 that could easily sneak into the Best Picture race. James Cameron's Avatar, Fire and Ash seems like a very safe choice, while Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme, John M. Chu's Wicked, For Good, and Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another could also gather some momentum in the coming months. Then again, there's plenty of room for a genre movie like Sinners or Weapons to sneak into the lineup despite the Academy's historical distaste for horror. Films like Nightmare Alley and The Substance manage edit, proving there's always an outlier to the rule. Momentum is crucial when it comes to Oscar campaigns. If a movie peaks too early, it can get left in the dust of the movies that come later, but if it makes its entrance too late, it may not have time to build the momentum it needs.